Hi writers, and welcome to week 10. Week 10 is all about the Book of Joy days 2 and 3, which discuss the obstacles to joy. So if you check out our module here, you'll see there's 2 discussions this week. We're breaking up the obstacles to joy into 2 groups. The first group is the first 4 obstacles, and the second group or discussion is the last 4 obstacles. There's a total of 8 obstacles, and within each obstacle there's sometimes more than just one. So I'll click on the first discussion so you can see what I'm talking about. Keep in mind that the page numbers from my book are from the hardcover book, and so if they do not align with your book, just follow the actual section for days 2 and 3, and you can ignore the page numbers if they're different. The important thing is that you're looking this week in week 10 at days 2 and 3 and all of the many obstacles that hinder our path to joy, our experience of joy. So here is our first discussion. Your task in this discussion is reading this section and taking notes in your journal. You're going to be making a cluster of the obstacles to joy, and so I'm going to show you what it could look like. In the center of your page, you'll have obstacles to joy days 2 and 3, and then you will add each of the obstacles to your cluster. In each section, you can go ahead and brainstorm some ideas. So for example, with the first one, which is fear, anxiety, and stress, that is something that we all experience. You can allow yourself to brainstorm some ideas that you have for fear, stress, and anxiety. And so an example of that, I just scrolled on mine, could be COVID, could be work related, could be a variety of things. For each of your little sections on your cluster, you're just going to brainstorm ideas that are coming up or popping into your head regarding these different obstacles to joy. So a question you can ask yourself for each of these categories is, when do I experience blank? And you can just write that at the top of your page. So when do I experience blank? And the blank is the obstacle. So for example, I just wrote that at the top of my journal. When do I experience fear, stress, and anxiety? And so on mine, I wrote a few words. I put work, I put COVID. When do I experience blank? And then you can fill that question in. You can answer that question under each category of your cluster. And you can also do it in a list if you prefer. You can do it more like linear. It's up to you. You're just taking notes to flesh out some ideas, to start really thinking about the obstacles to joy and how they apply to your life. That's where you're going to get lots of gold. That's where you're going to get lots of good information to reflect on so you can grow, open up, expand a little bit, and then move past these obstacles. So this first discussion, we're focusing on the top 4 obstacles to joy: fear, stress, and anxiety, frustration and anger, sadness and grief, and then despair. So in this discussion, you're going to be posting a 2-paragraph post following the directions here. You're going to choose one of the obstacles that are highlighted and read that section and do a reflection. But for today's class, since this is replacing our Zoom session, I want you to choose one of the ones that's highlighted, and I want you to go ahead and put it in your journal. So for me, I'm going to choose despair. And I'm just going to do 5 to 7 minutes of a free write. That's what we would be doing together in class. So here we go. 5 to 7 minutes. I picked despair as mine, and I'm going to drop in. I'll set my timer. And I'm going to go ahead and drop into my free write, just writing down whatever pops into my head without judgment, and then allowing myself to go ahead and reflect on despair. What does it mean? Why is it popping up? Just stream of consciousness, following the rules of writing practice from Natalie Goldberg. No crossing out, no worrying about punctuation, spelling, or grammar, keeping that hand moving. I'm free to write the worst junk in America, going for that jugular, and then starting my timer. And so that's what you're going to be doing just for your little free write. So there's my timer. So you can pause the video and you can go ahead and do that now, or you can wait until you're finished watching the video and go back and do your free write. But remember, it's 5 to 7 minutes of writing practice, just training that muscle, strengthening that writing practice muscle so you feel more confident with it. And you're just allowing yourself to write down whatever comes to mind. Remember, you're picking one of those top 4. For the second discussion, we're focusing on the last 4 of the 8 obstacles to joy in the last half of the chapter, and that is loneliness, envy, suffering and adversity, illness, and fear of death. This discussion looks a lot like the last one, except for you're focused on these last 4. For the actual discussion post, you're going to look at the rhetoric of one of these chapters. You're going to pick one of these 4. But for the purposes of today's lesson, which we're doing right now, you're going to choose one of these 4 and you're going to write it in your journal. So just take a look at the list, reflect for a second on which one is standing out to you, and then you'll go ahead and you'll write it in your journal. Just like you did with the last 4 obstacles, choosing one, you'll go ahead and put it in your journal, and then you will free write on it for 5 to 7 minutes. So again, for today's lesson, that's 2 focused free writes with your chosen topics, your obstacles, picking from the categories of the first and second section of the book, and then 5 to 7 minutes just dropping down low into your free write. Bless you. So you got two free writes, 5 to 7 minutes. Again, when you're posting on this discussion, for the second discussion, you're looking at one of these chapters very closely, and then you're commenting on the rhetoric in the chapter. So keep in mind the rhetorical triangle. We have ethos, pathos, and logos. That'll be the focus of this particular discussion. If you're not sure, Ray has posted something looking at logos, and you can follow that example if it helps. Or you can just follow whatever kind of intuitive path you choose, but keep in mind that rhetorical triangle. Again, that is week 10 in a nutshell. We've got our 2 discussions looking at obstacles to joy. These are big obstacles, folks. These are obstacles that we will encounter for the rest of our lives as human beings. And so right now we are increasing our mental immunity. We are increasing our ability to be tough, to be reflective, to understand that obstacles will come and go and that we can choose how we respond to them. Some of them are going to cause more stress, anxiety, and fear. Some of them are going to cause envy. Some of them are going to cause all of the spectrum of emotions and feelings, and we can tap into our emotional intelligence to be able to navigate those gracefully. Have a wonderful week 10. I look forward to seeing you online. Have a great day. Bye.